Annabella Shora was filming a suicide scene for What Dreams May Come when she noticed Robin Williams watching from off-camera, tears streaming down his face. The scene wasn't about his character. He wasn't in it. But Robin couldn't stop crying. After cut, Robin stayed frozen, staring at nothing. Annabella went to him. "Robin, are you okay?" He looked at her and said something that made her blood run cold. "I understand her. The wanting to stop existing. I understand it too well." The director realized they were making a movie about death with someone who was thinking about death. It was 1998, and director Vincent Ward was making What Dreams May Come, based on the novel by Richard Matheson. The story follows Chris Nielsen, a man who dies in a car accident and goes to heaven, only to discover his wife has committed suicide and gone to hell. Unable to accept her damnation, Chris descends into hell itself to save her soul. It was a visually ambitious film about love, death, grief, loss, and the question of whether love can transcend mortality. The themes were heavy. The emotional demands on the cast would be intense. But nobody anticipated just how dangerous those themes would become for the film's star. Robin Williams was cast as Chris Nielsen. Fresh off Good Will Hunting's success, Robin was at a career high. But those close to him knew something the public didn't. Robin was struggling. His marriage to Marcia Garces was showing cracks. His sobriety was being tested. And underneath everything, the depression that had shadowed him his entire adult life was getting worse. Robin had dealt with depression for decades. He'd learned to manage it, to function despite it, to hide it behind comedy and manic energy. But in 1998, the management strategies were failing. The depression was winning. When Robin read the What Dreams May Come script, he should have recognized the warning signs. A story about a man who loses everything, who experiences profound grief, who descends into literal hell. These weren't themes someone in a depressive episode should immerse themselves in for months. But Robin took the role anyway. Perhaps he thought acting would be therapeutic. Perhaps he thought exploring death and loss through fiction would help him process his own darkness. Or perhaps, more troublingly, he was drawn to the material precisely because he was already thinking about death. Filming began in late 1997 and continued into early 1998. The production was technically ambitious, requiring extensive visual effects, elaborate painted sets, and emotionally draining performances. Vincent Ward, known for his visually poetic but emotionally intense films, pushed everyone to go deep into the grief and loss the story required. For the first few weeks of production, Robin seemed okay. Professional, focused, bringing his usual dedication. But the crew started noticing things. Robin wasn't joking between takes. Usually, Robin was the energy of any set, doing voices, making people laugh, keeping morale high during long shooting days. But on What Dreams May Come, Robin was quiet. Withdrawn. He'd deliver his scenes, then sit alone. Michael Nozick, one of the producers, noticed Robin seemed different. He was more introspective than usual, Nozick said years later. Not in a reflective, artistic way, in a worrying way. Like he was going somewhere in his head we couldn't follow. The scenes they were filming were emotionally brutal. Chris Nielsen's grief over losing his children in a car accident. His own death. His arrival in heaven. His discovery that his wife has killed herself. Each scene required Robin to access profound loss and pain. And Robin went deep. Deeper than the script required. Deeper than Vincent Ward had asked for. In one scene, Chris Nielsen discovers his wife Annie has committed suicide. He breaks down, screaming at God, raging against the unfairness of it all. The script called for anger and grief. Robin delivered something more disturbing. His breakdown felt real. Not performed. The screaming had a raw, uncontrolled quality. The grief looked like it was coming from somewhere genuine. When Vincent Ward called cut, Robin didn't come back. He stayed on the floor, sobbing. Not quiet, professional crying that actors do after emotional scenes. Real, body-shaking sobs. The crew stood around, uncomfortable. Nobody knew what to do. After about 5 minutes, Robin finally stopped, stood up, and walked away without saying anything. Vincent Ward pulled producer Barnett Bain aside. "Something's wrong," Ward said. "That wasn't acting. That was something else." Bain had noticed it too. "He's not coming back after scenes," Bain said. He stays in the emotion. He's not separating. They decided to keep an eye on Robin but didn't intervene. They were making a movie. Intense performances were expected. And Robin was a professional. Surely he knew how to take care of himself. But it got worse. Annabella Sciorra was playing Annie, Robin's wife in the film. She had several intense scenes, including a suicide scene where Annie slits her wrists in a bathtub. It was a difficult scene to film, emotionally heavy, requiring Annabella to portray someone in such profound despair that death feels like the only escape. They filmed the scene on a closed set, just essential crew, Vincent Ward and Annabella. Robin wasn't called for the day. His character wasn't in the scene. There was no reason for him to be there. But halfway through filming, Annabella noticed someone standing in the shadows off camera. It was Robin. He'd come to set even though he wasn't working. And he was crying. Not the quiet, respectful tears of someone moved by a colleague's performance. He was crying hard, tears streaming down his face, his shoulders shaking. Annabella tried to stay focused on the scene, but Robin's presence was distracting. She could feel his pain radiating from the shadows. It was breaking her concentration, but more than that, it was scaring her. Vincent called cut after the take. Annabella expected Robin to leave or at least compose himself. Instead, he stayed frozen, staring at nothing, tears still running down his face. Annabella climbed out of the bathtub. She was clothed for the scene, using special effects for the rest, wrapped herself in a robe, and went to Robin. "Robin, are you okay?" she asked softly. Robin looked at her. His eyes were red, unfocused. When he spoke, his voice was hollow. "I understand her," he said. "The wanting to stop existing. I understand it too well." Annabella felt her blood run cold. This wasn't an actor talking about understanding a character. This was someone confessing to suicidal ideation. "Robin, that's scary," Annabella said carefully. "That's a scary thing to say." "I know," Robin said. And then, more quietly, "I'm scared too." Vincent Ward had been watching the exchange from a distance. He approached, dismissed the crew for an early lunch, and pulled Robin aside. "Robin, are you okay? Really okay?" Robin took a long moment before answering. "I don't know. This movie, these themes, they're getting inside my head. Death, loss, suicide. I'm thinking about them all the time. And I can't tell anymore if I'm thinking about them as Chris or as myself." Vincent felt a wave of guilt. He'd cast Robin in an emotionally brutal film, and it was clearly affecting Robin's mental health. But they were already deep into production. Stopping wasn't an option. "Do you need to talk to someone, a therapist?" Vincent asked. "I have a therapist," Robin said. "I'm talking to them. But it's not enough. The movie is stronger than the therapy. Every day I come here, I descend into darkness. And I'm not sure I'm coming all the way back up." It was one of the most frightening things Vincent had heard an actor say. Robin was essentially admitting that the film was damaging his mental health, but he was going to keep doing it anyway. Vincent talked to the producers. They discussed whether to pause production, to give Robin time to stabilize. But the financial realities of filmmaking made that almost impossible. They were millions of dollars into production. Stopping would mean potentially losing everything. So they made a compromise. They'd monitor Robin closely. They'd bring in a counselor to be available on set. They'd try to schedule the most emotionally difficult scenes with breaks in between. But they'd keep filming. Cuba Gooding Jr., who played Robin's guardian angel in Heaven, spent a lot of time with Robin during production. He noticed Robin's deterioration. "There were days Robin seemed okay," Cuba said later. "Present, engaged, even funny. And then there were days where he was just gone. Like he was there physically but his mind was somewhere dark." One day between takes, Cuba found Robin sitting alone in a corner of the soundstage, crying quietly. "Hey man, you okay?" Cuba asked, sitting down next to him. Robin wiped his eyes. "This movie is about a man who goes to hell to save his wife from suicide. Every day I'm thinking about death, loss, darkness. And I can't turn it off anymore. When we're not filming, I'm still there. In the darkness." "You need to talk to someone," Cuba said. "This isn't healthy." "I am talking to someone," Robin insisted. "But talking isn't fixing it. Because the problem isn't just in my head. The problem is I'm spending 8 hours a day pretending to be someone in hell, and pretending starts to feel like being. Cuba didn't know what to say. He'd never seen an actor so consumed by a role that it was destroying their mental health in real time. The crew's concern was growing. A production assistant mentioned to the unit production manager that Robin had been found crying in his trailer multiple times. The assistant director noted that Robin would sometimes stand alone between setups, staring at nothing, unreachable. But the film kept going. Because that's what films do. The machine is hard to stop once it's moving. They reached the section of filming where they'd shoot the hell sequences. In the story, Chris descends into hell to find Annie. Hell in What Dreams May Come is depicted as a dark, twisted landscape filled with tormented souls. It's visually striking and deeply disturbing. Filming hell required Robin to spend days in dark, oppressive sets, surrounded by imagery of suffering and damnation. The shoots were long, often 12 to 14 hours, because the elaborate visual effects required multiple takes. Robin's mental state deteriorated noticeably during the hell sequences. He became more withdrawn. His eyes looked hollow. He'd deliver his scenes brilliantly, but the cost was visible. Max von Sydow, the legendary actor playing the tracker in hell, worked closely with Robin during these sequences. Von Sydow, who'd been acting for over 50 years, had seen actors struggle with dark material before. But he'd never seen anything quite like what Robin was going through. Robin was not acting during those hell scenes, von Sydow said in a rare interview about the production. He was enduring them. You could see it taking pieces of him. Every take, every scene, he was giving something he might not get back. One particularly difficult day, they were filming a scene where Chris discovers Annie in hell, trapped in her own psychological torment. Annie doesn't recognize Chris. She's lost in her own darkness. It was late in the day. They'd been shooting for 12 hours. Robin had done the scene multiple times, each take emotionally draining. On the final take, something broke. Robin delivered his lines, pleading with Annie to remember him, to come back from the darkness. And when Annabella, as Annie, turned away from him, refusing to recognize him, Robin collapsed. Not a scripted collapse. A real one. He fell to his knees and started sobbing, deep, wrenching sobs that sounded like they were being torn out of him. Vincent Ward called cut, but Robin didn't stop. He stayed on the ground, crying, his whole body shaking. The crew froze. Nobody knew if this was still performance or if Robin had genuinely broken down. Vincent knelt next to Robin. Robin, look at me, we're done. The scene is over. It took almost a minute before Robin seemed to hear him. Slowly, Robin looked up. His face was devastated. I can't do this anymore, Robin whispered. I can't be in hell anymore. It's too real. They wrapped for the day. Robin went to his trailer. The production brought in a counselor who talked with Robin for over an hour. When Robin emerged, he looked exhausted but more present. He apologized to the crew for scaring them. He assured everyone he was okay to continue. But the producers and Vincent Ward had a difficult conversation that night. They were concerned they were pushing Robin too far. But they were also so close to finishing. Just a few more weeks. They decided to continue, but they restructured the schedule to give Robin more breaks between the most intense scenes. They also made sure the on-set counselor was available at all times. Robin made it through the rest of filming, but it was clear the experience had damaged him. Max von Sydow later said, I don't think Robin ever fully came back from that hell. We asked him to go to a very dark place, and a part of him stayed there. When filming wrapped, Robin reportedly went straight into intensive therapy. He took several months off before his next project. Those close to him said he was struggling with what the film had awakened in him. What Dreams May Come was released in October 1998. It received mixed reviews from critics but was praised for its visual beauty and emotional performances. Robin's performance was called raw and devastating. What critics didn't know was that the rawness came from a real place. Robin wasn't acting depressed and suicidal. He was depressed and suicidal, and the camera was documenting it. Annabella Sciorra, in interviews about the film, has always been careful not to exploit Robin's vulnerability. But after his death in 2014, she spoke more openly about what she witnessed. Robin told me he understood wanting to stop existing, Annabella said. That was in 1998. 16 years before he died. He was already there, in that dark place, and we asked him to go deeper for a movie. I've carried guilt about that ever since. Vincent Ward has also spoken about the ethical questions the production raised. We were making a film about hell, Ward said. And we asked our lead actor to live in hell for months. When I realized Robin was actually depressed, actually thinking about death, I should have stopped, but I didn't. I kept filming. Because that's what you do in movies, you keep filming. And I'll always wonder if that was the right choice. Cuba Gooding Jr. remembered Robin with sadness tinged with guilt. He told me he couldn't turn off the darkness, Cuba said. And we all just kept working. We saw him suffering and we kept going. Because the movie had to get made. That's the industry. But maybe it shouldn't be. The on-set counselor who worked with Robin during production later said, without naming Robin specifically, I worked with an actor on that film who was experiencing clinical depression while playing a character experiencing profound grief and loss. The line between the actor's real depression and the character's fictional grief became dangerously blurred. In hindsight, continuing production was a risk that maybe shouldn't have been taken. What Dreams May Come was supposed to be an uplifting film about love transcending death. But for Robin Williams, it became something else, a several-month descent into darkness that he might never have fully recovered from. The movie's tagline was "After life there is more, the end is just the beginning." For Robin, the filming wasn't a beginning. It was a preview of the end he'd eventually choose 16 years later. When Robin Williams died by suicide in 2014, many people re-watched What Dreams May Come with new eyes. The scenes of Chris Nielsen in hell, desperate and lost, took on a horrible new meaning. The raw grief, the genuine desperation in Robin's performance, it was all real. Annabella Sciorra's blood had run cold when Robin told her he understood wanting to stop existing. Watching the film after his death, audiences felt that same chill. Because they could see it now, Robin wasn't acting in that movie. He was confessing. The film crew who worked on What Dreams May Come and witnessed Robin's breakdown have carried a complicated legacy. They were part of creating a visually stunning, emotionally powerful film. But they also watched an actor suffer for that art, and they didn't stop it. That's the uncomfortable question What Dreams May Come leaves behind. At what point does art cost too much? When does the pursuit of an authentic performance become exploitation of someone's real pain? Robin Williams gave everything to that film. Literally everything. He gave his emotional health, his mental stability, his sense of self. He descended into hell for the camera, and part of him never came back. And everyone who worked on that film, from the director to the producers to the crew to his fellow actors, watched it happen. Some tried to help. Some didn't know how. But ultimately, the film got made, and Robin paid the price. That's not just sad. That's a fundamental ethical failure of an industry that values the product over the people creating it. Robin Williams told Annabella Sciorra he understood wanting to stop existing while making a movie about a man who descends into hell. 16 years later, Robin would stop existing. And everyone who heard that confession in 1998 has to live with the question, could we have stopped it? Should we have known? Did making that movie bring him closer to the edge he eventually fell from? There are no good answers. Just the painful reality that art sometimes demands too much, and we don't realize the cost until it's too late. What Dreams May Come was supposed to be about the power of love to transcend death. Instead, it became a document of an artist descending into darkness, filmed by people who either didn't see it happening or didn't know how to stop it. And when Annabella's blood ran cold hearing Robin's confession, she was feeling what we all feel now looking back, the horror of recognizing someone's pain too late to help them.